Hello everyone, welcome to 212 Photography Istanbul conversation series. I'm Barış Çakmakçı and my guest today is Helena Blomqvist, joining us from Stockholm. She was born in 1975 and originally studied at the School of Photography and Film in Gothenburg, Sweden. Helena's works has been shown worldwide and are represented in numerous solo exhibitions and museums including Germany, France, Iceland, Poland, South Korea, as well as in private collections. With an infallible sense of hues and lighting, together with the meticulous craftsmanship, the scenography is made co-star to the leading characters in Helena Blomqvist's images. So, let's get to know her closely. Hi, Helena.
Hello, Boris.
Thanks again for being here with us today. I want to go back to the 0 point. How did you start to photography? What was the motivation behind your passion?
I think I was very young. I was about 15 when I bought my first camera. And I was very happy because I had found a new way to express myself, to make my own images and to do staged photographs. And that was a long time ago when everything was analog and there was no digital cameras or Photoshop. So,
was your educational background helpful in this artistic journey?
Yes, I started to work as a photographer's assistant before the education. And then I learned how to work professional and I learned a lot about lighting and the photographic craft. When I started university, I tried to do like photos from photographers I really liked, and I imitated the photos and made with the same lights and the same technique. And I was also experimenting with different unusual darkroom techniques. And I think it was very important for me when I went to the university to get a lot of time to evolve my own imagery. That was 5 years I went there. So.
How did you strengthen your photography skills?
I took like 1,000 photos or something. I was always having my camera with me. So I was training my eye a lot and yeah.
What were your first pictures like then?
My first picture was very inspired by the French New Wave from the 60s. And I was taking a lot of photos of my friends and me, and we were like playing different roles in different lights and stuff. So I was like experimenting a lot with that.
We see that there is a touch of melancholy inherent to many of your works. The subdued palette brings the late 19th century Scandinavian painting to mind and enhances this feeling. How do you define that feeling?
I think it's like the evening light up here in Scandinavia. We have this very long twilight during midsummer, and I've tried to catch that feeling in some of my images. And there's also a feeling of melancholy sometimes in my images, and that can be a part of the creative process, one of many different moods. But my work is a lot about the relentless march of time also, and the volatility of life.
Your art practice is very unique and your stories are shimmering constructs that are free from the street rules. So let me ask this question at this point. What inspires you in general? I mean, when you are starting to a new project or a new series comes up to your mind?
Well, I work very intuitively and I get impressions from my surroundings. And I get very inspired also from looking at old photographs. But it can also be like from seeing a film or experiencing something that really shakes me. I always work with projects that engages me, such as what's going on with the climate change and the extinction of wild animals. I'm working on a project about that right now. So.
Are there any artists inspiring you? Or maybe I can ask, who is the most important inspiration in your artistic career?
It's very hard to answer for me. I think it's more like a sum of all the images I see and all the movies I've seen or the music I've heard and the literature. It's very hard to say one artist, actually. I'm sorry, I can't really point at one.
Your paintings are often dreamy and surreal. They weave nature and culture together with real and fictional beings. How do you keep this balance between them?
When I do an image, I sometimes need different characters in my narrative, like a sculpture of a rat in clothes, like a fable person who is standing next to a real lion or a dog. It's like that's a part of a specific story I'm trying to tell about an old woman trying to remember her life and what happened. And when I do my images, I work on it until I get the right feeling. It's kind of hard to keep that balance, but yeah, I try to find it through when I'm working on it. So.
And your interest in contemporary mythologies has long been the backbone of your art. Once you debuted the imaginative images of women in traditionally male hero poses and exploring the regions of fairy tales and myths that are ambiguous, so rather than heroic or spectacular. Could you please tell us about that a little?
The first image suite that I made was during my years at the Photo University. And I was looking at through historic images, and there were no women in the important events. So I made alternative history writing. I was playing with our collective images of historic images. And that was also when I started to build scenographies for my images in a very nice naivistic style. I used cotton clouds and icebergs made of styrofoam. But through the years, I have evolved my style, and sometimes now I even include my own scenographies in the exhibitions. That was 20 years ago I made that, and that was a very fun project. I was also experimenting in the darkroom with the lithium printing to get the right historic tone in the prints when I made that.
And when we come today, shall we say that post-production is the most important part of your process?
I would say that the most important part is the making of all the elements in the images. I do these scenographies and sculptures by hand, and sometimes I have to make some costumes too. And that usually takes a very long time. I'm like this film team in one person, and my images take a long time to make. And the photography session is very fast, and then I put everything together in the computer. But that can take a lot of time too, because I have to put it all together and see how the image should be.
And you have some books as well. So why it is important to express yourself with books?
Yeah, I think it's a very nice and democratic way to share my work, because my artworks are very expensive, and a book is a very good way to sum an exhibition. And the book itself can also express something different. And it also highlights the narrative in a project in a nice way, I think.
Which galleries can we see your works recently? Is there any upcoming exhibition?
Yeah, right now I have an exhibition in France in a small village called Lagacilly. They have an outdoor exhibition. It's a lot of different photographers there. And next February, I will show some new works in Gallery Forsblom in Helsinki in Finland. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And we will see your works here in Istanbul in the first week of October. So what are you going to show us in 212 Photography Istanbul this year?
I'm going to show two image suites. It's The Last Golden Frog and the Florentine. And The Last Golden Frog is about being under threat of extinction. And it's about apes that play a central role in the images. And they are watching together how everything is falling apart in the world. So they are protesting about their own extinction. And Florentine is something completely different. It's about this very old lady, Florentine, that is sitting and watching, like she's looking back on her life and her long life story. And I thought a lot about what is a memory and what is fantasy, what could have been real.
And last but not least, what would you like to suggest to those who are also passionate about photography like you or studying photography?
I think it's a very good way to create your very own imagery, and don't forget to look at the photography history. And also it's very good to be naive and to never give up. That I have learned that.
Thank you very much for this lovely interview, Helena, and for your time as well. It was a pleasure to get to know you, and I hope that we will have the opportunity to meet in Istanbul. And I also want to thank to our audience today for listening us here. And one final note, please save the date that you can see Helena Blomqvist works in 212 Photography Istanbul between 1-11 of October. So thank you very much, Helena.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.